Warning: these social media platforms may be hazardous to your health. Censorship kills. Pain coming. This has been a PSA by Breaking Spectre. Alright, bear with me. Test 1, 2. Hey, there we go. Apparently, the power outage I had last night from all these storms must have changed some of my stuff up here. But hey, good afternoon, everybody. How we doing? Spectre here. It is a Saturday edition of In Case You Missed It News. A little bit of a different broadcast here today. Largely going to focus on the storm that came through yesterday, late into last night, into this morning, early hours this morning. Take a look at some of the damage in that it incurred, and perhaps go back on the old weather maps, because typically on a day in, day out basis, many of you guys who join the broadcast know I like to show the old maps, kind of give a little bit of a ground level look at what's out in the field here, and I'm just kind of surprised at how quickly this system whipped up overnight. So maybe we'll take a spin through the old maps here and look at that here towards the end. Let's see. So let's just get into it here. It says Kentucky wakes up to devastation after mass casualty storm rips through the state. This was updated about 10:40 this morning. Mayfield, Kentucky has woken up to absolute devastation across large swaths of the state following the major storm, which has left, at the least, dozens dead and hundreds injured. This per Andy Swan says, devastating to wake up to this scene in your home state. Many great people in Kentucky will need our help this holiday season, says, for now we pray for the families dealing with unthinkable loss, for at Governor Andy Beshear's team's leadership and all responders. And says Mayfield, Kentucky at daybreak, drone, the town has basically been flattened, no words. See if I can get this guy to play through here. Oops, I have to back this guy up. Forgot I had watched that just a little bit ago. Hang on. Try that once more, maybe. Come on, Twitter. Yeah, looks like it's going to hang up on me here, but plenty of drone footage and that. I'll leave the links out here for you guys if you want to check that out afterwards. But WX chasing Brandon Clement, horrific sight at first light from hashtag tornado damage in Mayfield, Kentucky. WX Twitter, and of course there we can see a lot of flattened buildings, and that looked like the town took a pretty direct hit. Breaking 911, Kentucky governor reports mass casualties after building collapse at the candle factory, says more than 50 people are likely dead. Jonathan Gregg, Mayfield is decimated. Here we can see a lot of the pictures, Nat, looking down some streets. Pretty devastating by way of structural damage, trees and that pretty well torn up, that sort of stuff. U.S. Storm Watch says tonight we're looking at potentially the first quad-state tornado in U.S. history, which has torn through Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and now Kentucky. And let's see if this guy will play through. Yeah, it just kind of blew up. Let's see. Aside from that, says per Epoch Times here, a major storm system ripped through multiple U.S. states on Friday, hitting a candle factory in Kentucky, with more than 100 employees still inside the building at the time a tornado struck. The series of U.S. storms started early on Friday and are already blamed for multiple deaths and injuries across parts of the Midwest and South. The series of storms, we got that one. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear said at a news conference that it is going to be some of the worst tornado damage that we've seen for a long time, calling the weather event a mass casualty incident. We believe our death toll from this event will exceed 50 Kentuckians, probably end up closer to 70 to 100 lost lives, Beshear said. There were about 110 people in the factory at the time that the tornado hit, he added. Bashir also announced the deployment of about 180 guardsmen, including search and extraction, as the governor declared a state of emergency and requested President Joe Biden a federal emergency declaration. Kentucky's Emergency Management Director Michael Dossett said at the time, or at the same briefing, that the storm appears to be the first quad state tornado storm in the state's history. This tornado event may surpass the one in 1974 as one of the most deadliest in Kentucky's history, Dossett said, adding that this will be one of the darkest days in the state's history. The primary tornado was on the ground for 200 miles, Bashir said, and would be the longest traveled of any tornado in the state for nearly 100 years. Meanwhile, significant damage has also been reported in other parts of the U.S., including at an Amazon fulfillment center in Illinois, where a wall about the length of a football field collapsed, along with the roof above it. Tornadoes also ripped through Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee. And here you can see some of the damage in that from said storms at the fulfillment center down in Edwardsville, Illinois. And that's probably a good, 2.5 hours south of my location. At least 100 emergency vehicles descended upon the Amazon warehouse near Edwardsville, about 25 miles east of St. Louis. It wasn't immediately clear how many people were hurt, but one person was flown by helicopter to a hospital. And here we see some more pictures and tweets. Per Ray here says law enforcement has confirmed several people are dead as a result of the Amazon warehouse collapse in Edwardsville, Illinois. I'll have live reports on KMOV at 5 and 6 this morning. And so Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said in a statement that he had contacted the mayor in Edwardsville to request if they needed any state resources. Amazon spokesperson Richard Roca said in a written statement on Friday that the company's top priority now is the safety and well-being of our employees and partners. He says we're assessing the situation and will share additional information when it's available, Roca added. Let's see if this one will play through. This one's out of RT. Doesn't appear to be any sound to it, so this must be some drone footage. And still lightning. So apparently that is some of the damage around the Amazon facility down in Edwardsville. It says Edwardsville Police Chief Mike Philback said several people who were in the building were taken by bus to the police station in nearby Pontoon Beach for evaluation. By early Saturday, rescue crews were still sorting through the rubble to determine if anyone was trapped inside. And please be patient with us. Our fire personnel are doing everything they can to reunite everyone with their loved ones, Philback said on KMOV TV. 3 storm-related deaths were confirmed in Tennessee, said Dean Flenner, spokesman for the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. 2 of the deaths occurred in Lake County, and the third was in Obion County, both in the northwestern corner of the state. A tornado struck the Monette Manor nursing home in Arkansas on Friday night, killing 1 person and trapping 20 people inside as the building collapsed, Craighead County Judge Marvin Day told the Associated Press. 5 people had serious injuries and a few others had minor ones, he said. The nursing home has 86 beds. So I'll drop that link out there for you guys if you wish to check out any of the other footage in that here that didn't play here on broadcast. But aside from that, we'll bounce over to another article here covering some of this as well. This out of Sign of the Times says 24 tornadoes rip across 5 states, at least 50 killed. Says Fox News' Ashley Strohmeyer provides the latest update after deadly tornadoes ripped through Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Illinois. So we got quite a few clips here.
is live with a breaking news update from officials. Ashley?
Yeah, guys, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear sharing absolutely devastating news at a press conference just a short time ago. He said more than 50 people are feared dead in his state alone, and that number is expected to go up. But the Kentucky governor also shared that news at the press conference. Let's take that soundbite if we could.
And as we're sitting here today, and this is before daybreak, we believe our death toll from this event will exceed 50 Kentuckians, probably end up closer to 70 to 100 lost lives.
The town of Mayfield, Kentucky was hit particularly hard. A candle factory was completely leveled by a tornado with about 110 employees trapped inside. Now, one woman who was trapped under the debris went to Facebook Live to beg for help. Listen to this.
Yeah, we'll cover that here momentarily. I got that in another clip, but plenty of clips in this article here. I'll let a few of these play through. All right, we'll skip that one. We'll head down to the Amazon facility one, another one out of Fox News here, apparently.
Ty, we're learning new information this morning about this tragic and deadly storm that tore through here last night. We are on Gateway Commerce Center Drive South, just off 255 here in Edwardsville. The Amazon warehouse that took the direct hit is just behind us. You can see some of the damage. The Edwardsville Police Chief, Mike Philback, telling us that tragically at least 2 people here were killed. He tells us search and rescue efforts are ongoing this morning. Bommarito Automotive Group Skyfox is live over the scene as we speak. You can really get a clear view of just the tremendous and extensive damage done to this warehouse from the air. The storm tearing through here about 8:30 last night. Chief Philback telling us that basically the entire southern portion of the warehouse, or fulfillment center as Amazon calls it, was destroyed by the storm. Authorities at this point are still trying to get a firm count of just how many people were inside the warehouse here when the storm hit. Philback says there may have been around 50. The chief says about 30 workers were able to get out on their own. They were taken by bus to the Pontoon Beach Police Department. We're told.
All right, so that starts to get into some of the stuff already covered, but obviously you can see the extent of the damage here. And then, of course, we get down to Mayfield, Kentucky, and the first PCC there, I believe, is the actual courthouse. Perhaps I'll show a picture of that, what it used to look like before all this carnage hit. And I believe this is probably going to be a silent video. This looks to be some drone footage of just the extent of the damage. So you kind of get an idea there. Like I said, I'll drop the link to this guy out there as well if you guys wish to check out the extent of some of the coverage of some of these areas. Let's see, get that out there as well. There we go. And we'll flash over to 100% fed up here. It says breaking tornadoes ripped through multiple states overnight. Factory roof collapses in Kentucky. At least 50 feared dead. Workers trapped inside Illinois Amazon facility. Says last night tornadoes and severe storms ripped through multiple states, including Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Illinois, and Missouri, leaving death and destruction in their path. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear held a press conference, covered that already. I believe our death toll from this event will exceed 50 Kentuckians and probably end up closer to 70 or 100 lost lives. NBC News, Beshear said 4 tornadoes, one of which stayed on the ground for more than 200 miles after touching down, had swept through the state. Almost 60,000 Kentuckians had been left without power, he said. City of Mayfield had been devastated, he said, adding that a roof collapse at a candle factory had resulted in mass casualties. Bashir said 4 tornadoes, one of which stayed on the ground for more than 200 miles. Let's see, looks like they repeated that portion there. Let's see, MSNBC, yeah, some more coverage there. Aerial footage shows scale of damage in Mayfield. This would have been last night shortly after. Let's see if there's anything good here.
A look at drone footage. You've seen this before if you've been watching TV.
And it appears that
morning you're going to see a lot because it is a kind of a remarkable.
All right, so anyway, nighttime footage of what took place. CBS Mornings reports at least 5 people were killed in these suspected tornadoes, which barreled through Arkansas and Tennessee. Kentucky's governor says a roof collapse likely trapped workers inside a candle factory in Mayfield, possibly killing 50 to 100 people. Here we got some more footage in that out of CBS Mornings.
Welcome back to CBS Saturday Morning, recapping the latest on our breaking.
Man, all these embeds having some issues here today. Not sure what's going on there. But aside from that, says a photo reveals the destruction to a church in Kentucky only weeks before Christmas. Roof completely torn off of the facility there. Fox News reports major incidents included heavy damage to an Amazon warehouse, which we already covered up in or down in Edwardsville, from me at least. But where 2 people are confirmed dead and dozens of workers were reportedly trapped inside the building, and the destruction of a nursing home in Arkansas, where at least 2 people were killed and 5 were hurt, according to reports. It says here's another view of the Amazon facility in Illinois that was ravaged by a powerful tornado. I think we got that one pretty well covered at this point. It says details about the late night tornadoes are horrific, with reports of debris being lifted up over 30,000 feet into the air. And apparently here out of the National Weather Service, Little Rock, the storm of this latest severe weather event tracked more than 250 miles through several states, including Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Kentucky. 1 or more deadly tornadoes were spawned with major structural damage noted. And that retweeted by Scott Duncan there. And it says radar suggests debris was lofted over 30,000 feet. Says, let's not forget this tornado was at night, a truly horrific scenario. And that is absolutely the case. If you've ever experienced any of these storms or had to live through a tornado, nighttime is the absolute worst to have something like that happen. And they've got some sort of model, not really the kinds of records you want to see broken. The Mayfield, Kentucky tornado has lofted debris over 30,000 feet into the air. That's among the most intense ever recorded. So I think we'll be curious to see what they rate these tornadoes when it's all said and done, if that would indeed put it at a EF5 range, I suppose. Devastation in Tennessee is also being reported as a level 3 emergency has been implemented. We'll have more on that here momentarily. Got some stuff out of Tennessee and plenty of pictures. So that's out of 100% fed up. Out of New York Post, deadly tornadoes ripped through several states. Tornado deadly storm system ripped through Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, and Illinois Friday night, destroying buildings. Talked about Governor Andy Beshear. We have deaths in multiple counties, said during a live press conference, covered that. Let's see, this is one of the toughest nights in Kentucky's history. We are here for you. We love you. We are praying for you. In Tennessee, 2 storm-related fatalities were reported in Lake County in the state's northwestern corner, said Dean Flenner, spokesman for the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. An additional death was reported in neighboring Obion County. Flinner said the Tennessee Department of Health confirmed the deaths. However, there were no other details immediately released. The official had earlier reported 2 deaths in Obion County. Probably not to be too snarky in light of the scenario here, but let's hope that the health departments don't get screwy and call these COVID deaths, shall we? Says at least 20 people were trapped inside the nursing home in Monette, Arkansas after the twister struck. 1 person was reported killed, 5 others were injured. According to Marvin Day, the Craighead County judge, tornado struck the Monette Manor at around 8:15 p.m. and a search and rescue team was called shortly after to help those trapped in the building. Day told the Post, and there we see some of the footage of the hit. Says just a heartbreaking scene at Monette Manor Nursing Home. Prayers that somehow everyone is okay. Upon entering the building, first responders discovered 1 person dead and 5 others with serious injuries, he said. The building has been cleared. Earlier reports said that 2 people had died in the nursing home. Officials were working early Saturday to relocate residents to a safer location. And of course, Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson said in a tweet at around 9:30 that a tornado has struck in Mississippi County and first responders are on the scene. The severe weather system moved north into Illinois and devastated the Amazon distribution center in Edwardsville. Covered that. Says multiple workers were trapped inside the building after a structural collapse, according to Fox 2 in Illinois. Family members rushed to the side of the Amazon warehouse, hoping their loved ones were safe. He was on the phone with me while it was happening. Aisha White told KMOV while waiting outside the building. The tornado was hitting the back of the building. The trucks were coming in. I told him to jump out of the truck and duck. We watched the building go up, stuff hitting the cars. I told him I was on my way. Amazon spokesperson Richard Roca told the Post that the company was in the process of determining the damage. The safety and well-being of our employees and partners is our top priority right now, Roca said. We're assessing the situation and will share additional information when it's available. Aside from that, one official told KTVI TV that up to 100 people were believed to be in the building, working the night shift at the time of the collapse. It wasn't immediately clear how many people were hurt, but 1 person was flown by helicopter to a hospital. And I think we pretty well covered the rest of that out of Illinois here. Let's see. Been on the scene doing this, make sure everybody's okay. That's still okay. So back down to Mayfield, Kentucky. According to WPSD TV, the Graves County Courthouse in Mayfield, Kentucky was completely destroyed. Images posted by Kentucky Emergency Management Association showed the top of the courthouse lopped off. And there you see it not too long after it went through, and there's supposed to be a big spire in that goes on top there. Maybe you guys have seen some of the before and after pics already. Let's see. Aside from that, Bashir declared a state of emergency in Kentucky early Saturday morning. He said his office said in a tweet that he deployed the Kentucky National Guard and Kentucky State Police to assist with response efforts. Bashir will provide an update with the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management at 5 a.m. in Frankfort, his office said. Let's see. Police said the tornado caused significant damage across the western parts of the state. In Hopkins County, Kentucky, the winds were so severe that a train was derailed from its tracks, Sheriff Matt Sanderson confirmed. Interesting. So, yeah, I would expect that perhaps we'll see that particular tornado will probably top out at an EF5 range, I suspect. There's a train that has been turned over with the wind that came through here this morning, so we're trying to assess what type of material we had on that train, Sanderson told WKYT TV. The sheriff described the terrifying experience of 2 children who were reported missing after they were swept away in the tornado and found in a bathtub that had been flung from their home. There were 2 children in the Barnsley area that were missing, and they were actually found in a bathtub not where the house was originally standing, he said. Yikes. Randy Williams says, I'm at the scene of the train derailment outside of Elberfield, still looking for officials to get some information. I'll be posting updates here. Says the children were miraculously found unscathed and don't appear to be injured, he said. They've been returned back with their mother. The National Weather Service issued tornado warnings throughout the region as the deadly weather system continued its pace northward. So that some extra footage in that out of Arkansas, out of Kentucky as well, and the miraculous story in that here at the very end. Some extra footage in that. If you guys wish to check that out, you can check that out right there. Let's see, drop that link out there. Aside from that, I think this is the one where we get the footage of somebody calling from the Amazon warehouse and actually Facebook Live this thing. This is pretty crazy. Says the wall is stuck on me. Woman trapped in tornado rubble posts live Facebook video begging for help. This was a developing story overnight on Todd Starnes' site. Says as many as 50 workers feared dead after a tornado slammed into a candle factory in Mayfield, Kentucky. One of the workers posted a heart-wrenching video begging for help as she was trapped in the rubble. Her co-workers can be heard weeping, screaming, and moaning in the background. Watch below. Says they don't know who's watching. A woman is heard saying, "We got hit by a hurricane. I'm at work in Mayfield and we are trapped." So we'll see if this will play through.
Okay, I don't know who's watching. We got hit by a hurricane. I'm at work in Mayfield. And we are trapped. Please, y'all, get us some help. We're at the candle factory in Mayfield. Please. Please.
Shut up. On the very bottom over here.
So that's just a snippet of that. The fact that she had signal is pretty impressive, let alone the fact that, one, you just had a tornado rip through town, and the fact that you would have a signal, again, that's another miraculous wonder that took place. Will Nunley says, I arrived here in Mayfield, Kentucky just moments ago to the factory where multiple casualties have been reported. A horrific landscape. Definitely plenty of shrapnel and carnage. So that is down in Mayfield, Kentucky, and says Julie Dolan, candle factory collapse. Governor Beshear says greater than 100 people were working at a candle factory in Mayfield overnight when the roof collapsed, killing dozens of people. Here are before and after photos of the factory. Apparently, that is what it's supposed to look like. Obviously, we saw some of the nighttime footage, and then during the day, just devastation. So, yeah, pretty crazy. And again, the fact that this woman somehow, I don't know, had to been by the grace of God, I swear, that she was somehow able to get a signal underneath rubble. Who knows how much was on top of her from the collapse, and having a tornado blow through town obviously would probably wipe out cell phone towers, things of the nature. No idea how they were able to get that through. Crazy. So aside from that, over to KARK.com, says tornado outbreak leaves path of deadly destruction through Arkansas. Says an outbreak of storms starting early Friday evening spawned tornadoes that ravaged communities throughout Arkansas and left at least 2 people dead. Authorities in the small northeast Arkansas town of Monette issued a state of emergency and told residents to shelter in place. According to reports from KAIT TV, emergency crews were heading to the Monette Manor area where there were numerous reports of damage. Crews at the scene reported 1 person had died at the nursing facility and 5 others were injured. There were also reports of as many as 20 people being trapped under collapsed portions of the building. Initial reports from the scene said 2 people had died in a collapse, but authorities later revised that number. Nearby, one person died when a tornado hit Leachville. Mississippi County Sheriff Dale Cook said Saturday the woman was inside a Dollar General store when a tornado tore through it. These were just some of the deaths and injuries from a swath of storms generating tornadoes and straight line winds in Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, and Illinois. Power outages have skyrocketed across the state as the night has worn on, with more than 29,000 customers without power around 8:20 p.m. The storms also led the Arkansas Activities Association to postpone the Class 2A high school football championship game at War Memorial Stadium between McCrory and Fordyce. The game will now be played Sunday afternoon. So some of the damage out of Arkansas here. And then back over to Missouri, we get video storm damage causes thousands to be without power in southwest Missouri. This out of Ozarks First here. Says out of Springfield, Missouri, the storm that passed through Springfield Friday evening left thousands without power. According to city utilities, 4,300 residents were without power as of 9 p.m. Friday night. Outages are scattered throughout the city due to downed lines and broken poles. CU said 3 areas are completely locked out, meaning there is no service to any customers in those feeder areas. The areas in southwest Springfield, another in southeast Springfield, and the other in north Springfield. Most of the reported outages are in these areas. And apparently this is the outage map around I'm guessing the Springfield, Missouri area. Some of the storm damage in Springfield. See if this will play through here. Maybe. Short clip, not sure what that was supposed to show other than some rain and some lightning. But apparently, additionally, a neighboring utilities high voltage line near Kansas and Battlefield has been damaged. CU has line crews assisting to secure the area until crews from that utility arrive to make repairs. According to Empire District, around 1,700 customers are without power. Republic had 1,569 without power. Reed Springs, Galena area, 132 without power. Christian, 39 without power. 2,200 residents were without power at 7 p.m. CU is reminding everyone to stay away from any down lines. Customers are asked to call the outage line, and there's a number to report a power outage. Last but not least, some of the damage that swept through Nashville and Middle Tennessee here. Quite a few pictures here. What do they have? Like 30 photos, I guess. So some of the damage, cleanup underway around Mount Juliet's Willoughby Station neighborhood after storm damage, presumably this morning. Sign for TJ Courtney Restaurant and Catering on North Mount Juliet Road. Let's see, some more damage to said buildings. Here we get damage from overnight storms in Dixon County on December 11th. Damage from storms in Dixon County still. Flattened house there. Still in Dixon County from overnight damage, some uprooted trees. Let's see. Still in Dixon County, overnight pictures there. Damage from overnight storms in Dixon County, more flattened houses. Let's see. Braden McCann uses phone and surveys the damage as he stands outside his home along Murrell Road after overnight storms that ripped through the community Saturday in Dixon County. So apparently Dixon County, Tennessee was where it was at. Got hit pretty hard. Fallen trees lie across Murrell Road. Also Dixon County. I wonder if there's any other counties that got hit. Still on Murrell Road, a lot of tree damage and things of that nature. Let's see, more tree damage. House lies demolished along Murrell Road, so apparently that was the area to be hit pretty hard. A house lies demolished along Murrell Road, another one there, Dixon County. Let's see here. Larry Rosenbaum uses his phone and surveys the damage as he stands outside a flattened home along Murrell Road after overnight storms that ripped through their community, again in Dixon County, Tennessee. More along the same road there. More damage. Yeah, let's see here. Still along Murrell Road. Storm debris in Murrell Road from overnight. Damaged business along Highway 70 after severe storms ripped through the area overnight Saturday in Clay Lick, Tennessee. Not sure exactly where that is, if that's up in the northwest corner or whereabouts. Have to check the old map. Branches are cleared from Highway 70 in Kingston Springs, Tennessee after storms swept across the area early Saturday, December 11th. Clay Lick firefighters rescued a woman from her mobile home along Highway 70 after severe storms ripped through the area overnight. Should have been Friday into Saturday, but let's see. Clay Lick firefighters rescued a woman from her mobile home. There we go. Storm damage is seen in a building in the Cherry Creek Apartments community in Hermitage, Tennessee, after strong storms hit the area early Saturday, December 11th. Residents waited in their cars for workers to clear trees along Kingston Springs Road after severe storms ripped through the area overnight Saturday. And let's see, that car looks to be on its side. Or maybe it's somebody holding a flashlight, I guess. It says workers tried to clear trees along Kingston Springs. Storms ripped through the area overnight Saturday, Kingston Springs, Tennessee. And yeah, it looks like that old trampoline took a beating. Damage in Dixon County from the overnight storms. And more damage in Dixon County there. Braden McCann uses his phone and surveys the damage as he stands outside his home along Murrell Road after storms ripped through the community Saturday. That's still in Dixon County, Tennessee as well. So that's a bit of a round tripper through some of the damage across the multiple states, and that from overnight yesterday. I think what I'll do, though, this is the part that kind of fascinates me, is yesterday morning, and you know, typically on my shows, I like to start off with the old map here. And so what I've done, I've actually backed the map up to where I started yesterday morning around 8 a.m. And yesterday morning when I started this, I had sunny skies, no major things looking to be reported around my neck of the woods here in the Midwest. And that's why I was kind of surprised to see how quickly this stuff kind of formed. And so I think what I'll do is maybe hour by hour this, and we can kind of watch on the radar here and see exactly how this stuff is whipped up. Now, what I'm using here is VentureSky.com. Perhaps you've used that. You can obviously bang through the temperatures, perceived temperatures, precipitation, radar, satellite, wind speed, things of that nature. And we've got the winds and that turned on here. You can obviously see the winds coming across the Atlantic down through the Gulf of Mexico and up through. So we had been obviously pushing a lot of this warm air up into the central part of the country here. If we back the temperature up to yesterday as well, we can see that we definitely had this warm pocket here, 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s net. Had this cold pocket net looking to push that across the country here. And well, let's just step through this thing here. We'll walk through this hour by hour here, see if this will cooperate. So about 9 o'clock yesterday morning, I'm kind of watching this blob of stuff on the radar here, kind of cruising across the upper Midwest. So that was 9 o'clock yesterday morning. We'll cruise over to 10 o'clock yesterday morning. We can kind of start to see this thing take shape. Obviously, we're still getting a lot of this moisture and that pushing up out of the Gulf, and you can kind of see how it's all coalescing about a point here. We're getting a lot of stuff out of the southwest and that cruising up through here, wind speeds, and then we get all this warm, moist air pushing up out of the Gulf all right into this area here. So we're getting quite a bundle of energy picking up steam, as it were. So 11 o'clock yesterday morning, we're still seeing this thing kind of form. It's kind of building ahead across the upper Midwest here, across Wisconsin into Michigan. Starting to see a little bit of a tick through the lower part of the Midwest here, perhaps around Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas way. Let's see, maybe about noon yesterday. I'll see if this thing's still forming. You kind of still got two seemingly separate systems. 1 o'clock yesterday or so. Yeah, here we see around 1 o'clock yesterday, these two kind of tend to join forces. We got some winds in that picking up steam on the backside of this front. Cold air pushing that. We still got all this warm air coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico. By about 2 o'clock yesterday, yeah, we can definitely see it building ahead here. And this would eventually obviously kind of come back down around here. Kind of a, I suppose, what do they call that? A derecho effect, something along those lines. So by about 3 o'clock yesterday, you see it building a pretty good head here, starting to pick up some steam, getting a little bit more yellow and red in that area here, intensifying. Probably by about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Still seeing it kind of form, 5 o'clock. Yeah, starting to wrap back around here. 6 o'clock yesterday. Starting to see a little bit of red, a little bit of intensity in there. That's up around Illinois here. And I think yesterday, for the most part, even after I finished up the broadcast here, it was still fairly decent, fairly mild weather where I'm at here in the state. I think we were pushing close to 60 degrees by afternoon, but we had pretty heavy fog along with that. So obviously we had a pretty good discrepancy between ground temps and air temps. Pretty heavy fog through most of the day, and then we also had some spotty showers, and that probably around, I would say, maybe around 6 o'clock yesterday is kind of when we started to see some of the rain intensify here. Checking the rain gauge here this morning, I think I picked up probably about 1.6 on the day total yesterday. So by about 7 o'clock last night, still watching this thing form. We're starting to get some storm lines net build up here all the way down to, I suppose that's down into Oklahoma, Missouri area. 8 o'clock. And of course, probably about 8:15, I think, is when the first report started coming through by way of the southwest portion of Missouri, Arkansas, and that area. And here we obviously see the red bits inside of this storm kind of starting to pack a wallop by about 9 o'clock last night. Yeah, that's when we really see this thing start to wrap around. We get these two kind of start to join forces here, probably by about 10 o'clock last night. Yeah, that's when you really see this pretty well top to bottom, all the way from, probably, I guess, Wisconsin, all the way back down around into Arkansas, maybe into the northern part of Texas there. And then by 11 o'clock last night, when this thing really started to pick up, yeah, you see the two really join forces, and then got a little bit of a wraparound effect here, and that's actually what took out my power overnight. Sometime overnight last night, I lost power, and don't know when it actually came back on, because I woke up about 20 to 6 this morning, freezing, everything black outside, no heat, no power, none of that stuff. So we were probably without power for about 3-4 hours or so. And obviously by then the damage was already done. I think likely we got some pretty decent winds in that on this back side here, kind of cruising back across Illinois. And if you flash forward here to today, that system is still tracking across. We'll pick that up here. What time are we? We're about 2:15-ish. Let's see here. Update this one more time. Take a look at where the storm is at. So yeah, here probably about 2 o'clock. It's still pushing its way across the eastern states, so perhaps these things have de-intensified a bit, but still kind of holding together. And if you're down in some of these southern states here, you're still seeing this moisture push up out of the Gulf of Mexico, up the Atlantic seaboard, and all that good stuff. Hopefully that stuff doesn't re-intensify here as the day goes on and get into nighttime. So if you're down in perhaps the Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia way, keep your eyes open, if nothing else. So Nonetheless, that's going to do it for the broadcast here today. Kind of wanted to show that and show some of the damages net from the storms and that rolled through, and I just find it rather interesting. Now, obviously, if you've been with my broadcast for any sort of time at all, you know, especially over the last several months, I've been watching a lot of financials, and I just find the timing very interesting. Now, why do I say that? Well, it's only been about a week or so ago. You can go back on the broadcast here where we talked that the EIA was predicting that we were going to have above average temperatures here for a while. And obviously, what that does is obviously drive down natural gas futures net. And so the speculators and everybody behind the scenes on commodities, natural gas, and that sort of thing were losing their shorts. And then all of a sudden, and I think it was just yesterday on the broadcast we talked about this, that all of a sudden we get a polar vortex come up out of nowhere. And lickety split, wouldn't you know, the natural gas traders are like, woohoo, guess what? We're going to make boku dollars again, right? Because polar vortex, that means more people are going to be using natural gas, more energy to heat their homes, all that good stuff, all in a matter of a week. Now, where have we seen this pattern play out before? Anyone care to guess? Anybody? Chat? Think back to what happened here within the last year. You know, I put a piece together here around all the Texas calamity that took place on the front end of the year, back late January, February, when we had that huge pocket of cold air come down out of Canada, come all the way down into Texas, and what ensued afterwards. But if you think back to what was happening just before that, when old DJT was still at the helm, one, we were energy dependent, and number two, wouldn't you know, and I think I covered that on that broadcast, that the EIA said exactly the same thing they did here just about a week ago. That, guess what, we're going to have above average temperatures here for the season, and then, seemingly out of nowhere, here comes this big polar vortex that shoots all the way from Canada, all the way down into Texas. And of course, many of you will remember the aftermath of the polar vortex and the devastation that occurred down there when they lost power, right? All within a matter of weeks. So, how many of you still trust the EIA and the folks over at the environmental agencies and things of that nature and their various quote unquote predictions? Only to have somebody later come back and predict, hey, we're going to see this polar vortex, and guess what happens? All of a sudden, energy prices shoot right back up, and you get a situation like what took place down in Texas here at the front end of the year. And of course, we saw what happened with the regulators and what happened with energy disparities, things of that nature, prices through the roof in a matter of hours, if not days, in those cases, right? Are we seeing the same playbook play out here yet again? I don't know. It's a question I ask. It's one I'll leave you with, but obviously, in my humble opinion, and you can agree or disagree, doesn't really matter, but I certainly believe that the weather is being manipulated, and of course, cui bono, who ultimately benefits from all this. Whether we talk about the storms that took place last night, whether we talk about natural gas futures, whether we talk about polar vortexes and the like, cui bono? Who benefits? Obviously, after last night, we know who benefits, the insurance agencies and everybody else behind the scenes, right? And gee, think, all these folks that are going to have to rebuild now, are they going to be able to afford to rebuild? We've talked ad nauseum about commodity prices on the broadcast here, lumber prices, copper prices, PVC prices. After we had some hurricanes that roll through the coast down in the Gulf of Mexico here several months back, what that did when platforms were taken offline, and what that did to bid up PVC prices, because all that is made from oil. So imagine, cui bono? Who benefits out of all this calamity? Somebody stands to make bank, right? So anyway, that's what I'll leave you with here this afternoon. Like I said, just wanted to give you a quick and dirty update as to the goings on after all of the storms and that rolled through. Keep an eye on the ones and that's still cruising across the southeast here today, especially again if you're in the Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia areas, and that see if those things start to intensify any with all of this warm air pushing up out in front of it. Hopefully it doesn't. I pray that it doesn't. And let's hope that we don't see any more damage like what we just saw overnight here this past night. So anyway, take care. God bless. We'll see you back here on the next one.